What's up, everyone? Hopefully, you've all seen Shazam 2 Fury of the Gods by now. And if you haven't, you might actually want to watch my spoiler free review. I recorded that right when I got out of the theater, watching it, everything fresh in my head. Kept it very simple, gave you guys a critical score of a 6, and then, a fan perspective review score about a 7.5 at the end. And we'll kind of go over that in depth today, what led me to that scoring, and how was the movie, right? And in my opinion, the movie wasn't bad. Let's just say that. It wasn't bad. It was a fun time, especially, I saw it with my family. We all enjoyed it. My friends and everyone that came along, we all enjoyed it. Um, but was it like the best superhero movie? No. Maybe if I really want to be honest, I think this is probably the best superhero movie I've seen so far this year, even though there haven't been too many. And obviously, that'll change with all the ones that are coming out. Like, we had The Flash, we had Guardians of the Galaxy, which I'm expecting to knock it out of the park. But to go back to Shazam 2, what really worked about this movie was that the characters, right? And I really enjoyed seeing Zachary Levi's Shazam a lot more. The rest of the team, I'm glad that they didn't go all in and try to create some storyline where one of the characters is going to start getting the spotlight because of something that's going on with them. Although you can kind of technically say the cause of the problem in this is due to a side character from the Shazam League. I would still say it stays centered on Billy Batson, which is great. That's how a Shazam movie should be. Even though they're all part of the Shazam League, he is the one we know as Shazam. Now, and that comes along with great pacing too. I enjoyed a lot of the pacing. I enjoyed how the characters were really interacting with each other and it didn't feel forced. The villain scenes, everything, none of that seemed like, it took too long or was going too fast. It was just about right. And so I think the 2 hour, I don't know, something about the 2 hour runtime, I think works great for these superhero movies. I know we've been getting carried away a lot lately with 2.5, 3 hour releases, and I just don't think that is the way to go in the future. This 2 hours, it kept everything on the pace and it delivered. I think, in my opinion, in terms of pacing, I think it delivered. So, to kind of counteract that, I did think it had a simple story. And what I mean by that is, just like any other superhero movie we've seen, I don't. The story was so simple and something we've seen before to where I don't think the villains were really that memorable, right? So, a lot of the things they did, including calling it the dragon, how the dragon arrived, and what Lucy Liu's character was doing with the dragon. So yeah, I was so not interested into the villains that I don't even really remember their names. I just remember they're the daughters of Atlas, and they're trying to get the powers back from Shazam because, I mean, who wouldn't really do that, right? The power was actually stolen from their father, and so given by the wizard, and then given to Shazam later down the road as a champion. And I fully understand. But the villain itself, or villains in this case, uh, only one of them was a true villain, Lucy Liu's character, and I think that was kind of predictable from the very beginning, right? Like from the choices they were making. The youngest sister out of the three. By the way, I did really like how they kind of kept that three sisters things a secret. We didn't know anything about that going to the theater or anything like that. So when it happened, even though it was predictable about what was going to happen, it's hard to explain. But I'm sure a lot of you understand. That twist would have been a lot better if the story was probably constructed a little bit better. But other than that, I still think it was enjoyable. Um, I did like the fact that this movie focused a lot more on the superheroes being superheroes rather than focusing on the kids. And I understand that's like whether you like the first one or not. a lot of people loved the first one because it was centered around the family, and then the superhero part was just an add-on. Whereas this one is the complete opposite. It's really about the superhero, the superpowers of the family, and then the family dynamic is actually second to that. And so I understand whatever you want to pick and choose, whatever fits you better. But for me, this worked a lot better because I was there to watch a superhero movie, not a family drama around a superhero movie. The first one I kind of found, and this might be going against the masses, but the first one was kind of boring to me. And again, that may be just because it didn't have as much superhero stuff that I would admire or that I would like. This one, this one, I feel like satisfied that comic book fan in me. So, and there's a lot of payoff scenes to the comics, which I think worked great, right? I mean, the comics and the animated universes, even Justice League War and everything, you see that Shazam has a total crush on Wonder Woman, and this movie played to that. I thought it was hilarious when we see the dream sequence, and at first I was like, oh, so is Gal Gadot, being cut? Is that why they're not showing her face? But then it turned out to be that was the butthead of the joke. But that kind of had me worried because I'm like, okay, so is this the rumored scene where this is Wonder Woman was going to be in the movie? Thankfully, that turned out to be not the case, and they actually did pay off to the comics at the very end when Wonder Woman did come in, and Billy Batson, hey, he took a shot. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and his didn't stick a landing, and just even the way Wonder Woman was just saying, hey, stick to your thing, and she literally treated him like a kid because he is a kid. I thought that was a great touch, but also having that happen so abruptly, right? Like all of this stuff is going, and this is what I meant by generic storytelling of this movie. Everything is happening, right? And it's not just happening here and there. You're obviously seeing a lot of destruction. You're seeing a lot of things, right? And Wonder Woman chooses to show up at the end. Who knows, like, how she even heard of this? Well, I know they play the whole, did you get my letter, blah, 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 but I don't know, it just felt like this movie had a lot of coincidence, but coincidence that benefit the main characters, and I thought that was just whack, right? Like I know they did it for the shits and giggles when, Zachary Levi's Shazam, he gets the staff, and then he throws it back at the sisters, right? And then the sisters get it, and it's like, okay, well, you did that just for the fun, but they needed a way to kind of get that back, and so I fully understand. But it was just some of the executions they did. I feel like they could have done a little bit better. Um, and the CGI at times it was very noticeable. uh, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the VFX artists are just not getting enough time anymore, or if all companies from DC and Marvel, all these directors are just hiring people on the cheap, whatever it may be. But CGI has, at least it's not as bad as Marvel's yet. Marvel shows or even Ant-Man Quantumania had pretty bad problems. Who am I kidding? Even Multiverse of Madness. Jeez, what was that? Black Widow. Ah, well, anyways, I hope for Marvel and DC's sake they can go ahead and start improving that because we are now in the age where that should be perfected, but it's not. So, what the hell is going on? The other thing is, kids are now growing up and you're able to see it. The Asher, who plays Billy Batson, is actually 18 in the movie now. What's it going to be in the next movie, right? So, it's kind of a concern, and that's actually probably why they stayed away from the whole family portion of it because they realize these kids are no longer kids, and so how can we worry about that? And before I forget, I wanted to address one thing. I see a lot of channels that are degrading Zachary Levi's version of Shazam because he's so different than Billy, right? Billy seems more mature, and then he becomes a kid. Well, and you've seen these channels, and I just don't understand. Some of these channels talk about him having the wisdom of Solomon, and they even play to that in the movie. Well, the whole point of it is that Billy, yes, he is living a depressive life, but when he becomes Shazam, that's his way of actually being a kid. And I feel like if you were to kind of go the comic route, some of the comics do have him be more mature when he becomes the adult version. But at the same time, it's like that. I don't think that would transition better onto the stage. The whole reason Shazam works is because it's a niche, right? You have all these superheroes, but do you have a kid who's a superhero in an adult body? No. So I think Zachary Levi is perfect. Everything they do in this movie to show the two sides of Billy Batson is perfect. So I have no problem with that. But again, forgettable villains, simple story. I'm reading off of all these notes I took. Story choices, could have been better. Kids growing up seems to be a concern. But what really worked, fun characters, pacing, more time with superpowers, which I truly enjoyed. And the payoff to the comics, because if it's a comic book movies and it doesn't pay off to the comics, then that movie shouldn't exist, in my opinion, right? Because now you're just trying to use the comic book character for your own personal gain to tell whatever it may be. That's We'll get into that later. But what did you guys think about it? Have you guys seen Shazam 2? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification button so that way you know the next time we upload a video. And from here on out, have a great day.